Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so it seems we're live, but give me a second because I want to post these, and then what I'll do is two things. First, I need to go close the door. I'm warning you, it's late at night. Baby's asleep, kids are sleeping, but I might have to just, go off for a second or whatever. And I want to test a new microphone, and I want to test a few things. So just give me a second. I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so as I said, I'm warning you. I might have to drop if I hear baby crying. This happens whenever I'm doing streams late at night, but it's the only day that I could coordinate, the only moment that I could coordinate this today. Anyway, first let me try another thing as well. I want to try. I plugged the microphone to the workstation. Um, to be honest, I don't really need to use it, but I'm just thinking, Video Ninja actually does. Share sound, I believe. I want to test that, okay? So I'm going to turn the microphone, I'm going to turn the speakers on here. Video Ninja actually does. Okay. Okay, you can't hear me. It's good. It's good. I just wanted to test that. I don't know if I have to think how, because I'm using the web view here, but I should be able to hear the voice. I think I believe it's on air. Okay, you can't hear me. It's good. It's good. I just wanted to test that. I'll test it. I'll have to test it somehow else. Anyway, I'm using the web view here, but it should. All right, cool. Perfect. I'll get to. So first things first, we want to do two things today. I want to spend some time, um, testing, or not testing, but showing a new model that I just came across on X, which is this model here. So let me show you this. And to be honest, I'm fairly new to local models, okay? But I got this through this person, Kyle Hessling. To be honest, I have no idea. I have no idea how these things are built, how the local models are built. It just, it looks very, very interesting. If you read through the stuff that he's putting out, it just, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really. I got this through another account. What was that account? Because I got that from this other guy who has a green avatar. This guy, the left curve dev guy. So I actually got to see this from this guy, and then yeah, and then basically I came across the original poster. But essentially, this is crazy interesting, right? So what I have, and this is very, like, as I said, I'm new to running local models. So give me a second because I want to make sure that if anyone has questions in the chat, you guys let me know. I'm new to local models, right? So what I have as a home setup is a single RTX 5070. So these are not, like, they have not so much RAM, right? So I think they have 12 gigabytes or something. The one that I have is like 12, I think. So it's not too crazy in terms of RAM. So this means when you load models, you're kind of constrained by the size, by how many layers you can load. to the on the GPU, right? So what I tried today is these, right? So I'm looking for, again, I'm looking for a model that is helping me slowly as well do stuff that is more surgical into a code base. And like, I guess eventually we'll get there. It's nothing too fancy, right? We're not building, this is not like some funky, complicated algorithms that we're building. We're building, it's old school web application, as in like you have a back end, you have a front end, you have a few things here and there, but it's not something that, I don't know, it's out of the ordinary, and it's not a huge code base either. I'd say it's in the low to mid size range. Nevertheless, I've always been curious because I'm used to using the Opus models for heavier things when I'm architecting something more complex. And I have a few pieces of code which are complex in terms of especially in openLesson when you're doing the heartbeat in a session, right? So when you're in we can just do I have it running a localhost? Yes. So whenever you're in a session, right? Let's say that I'm want to do these sessions. I'm in this session. I'm gonna go into manual mode. I'm gonna prepare the session. So when I'm in this session, what's actually happening here, right? So there is basically a mechanism that is, as soon as you start the learning session, there is a dual, there's a heartbeat mechanism that is doing two things. So if I click play, right, and now it's recording what I'm saying. So essentially what's happening is there is a process in the background that is sending, and that's glitching a bit. It's a new design. So that there's a process in the background that is sending, that is storing data directly in Supabase storage, and there's another process that is running the heartbeat that is basically pinging the backend to run a few async stuff, run an analysis on what you're on the last few seconds of what you've been saying and stuff like this, and then essentially that kind of like updates the plan and gives you feedback and stuff like that. So there are a few and this view in and of itself is fairly complex. As you can see, there's a lot of different components, a lot of different things going on here, and a lot of interactions. Like if I click resources, it would actually open the theory tool, and it would actually generate dynamically content for you to kind of click and go check and stuff, right? If I what else? If I click ask here, it's actually going to open the teaching assistant, right? And again, this is new, so it might not actually all of it might not actually work well. Oh, no, it's just slow. Okay. But yeah, so right off chain. Okay, so it actually gives me all these resources and stuff like that to go check. But still, essentially, what I'm trying to say is, if I want to do a major thing like a big redesign and stuff, I know these models are not there yet. I know these models are definitely not there yet. I think. I mean, they can build stuff, right? But a lot of these things as well depends on how the hardness deals with these models. And anyway, I'm talking too much. I don't have all the time. I have like barely 30-40 minutes today, so I just want to kind of go to the point. What I wanted to test is, I wanted to show this live, right? Because I said that on X, and I just want to make sure people understand that, to see like an actual example. So maybe we shouldn't go with something like the session view, because it's complex. So what I've done is add this button here that actually restarts the session. I've done this. I want to do maybe something else in here where maybe we should get rid of these labels, completed, whatever. Or by default, this is more complicated than what I tried, but maybe what we should do is that I'm thinking like a feature that is maybe, and this might not work, right? But I want you to understand what's happening, and like and to see that the model in action. What I've done is I have LM Studio. I have this model loaded in here with a fairly small context, but it's still okay, I think, for code bases of this of this, because the point is I want to have the full model offloaded to the GPU, the full 64 layers. If I can increase the context the context length, but then I have to put some of the layers on the GPU, on the CPU, and then it just makes the whole thing very fucking slow. Like this, it just at least goes fast, and it's not too bad. So I have this ready, I have this connected, so that this is a local server, right? So I have it here on this machine, and then in OpenCode, essentially what I have, and I think that's openLesson. Yes, that's openLesson. So I was working with this guy now, but if I go to local provider, I have Quopus in here, so we can switch to Quopus, and we're going to start a new session. Get rid of this session here, start a new session, and I just want to show you what it does, right? So this is the repo structure. I just want to show you how fast it actually goes, and whether it gets this correctly. I'm thinking I don't like these colors here. I just don't like this view at all in general. Session class, it gets cluttered very easily, and I can't easily go back to like a quick, maybe just because I have too many sessions and whatnot, right? But it's I think what I want to do is basically I want to change these filters. So instead of being like one choice, active, paused, completed, I want this to be a filter that is checkboxes, and I want to have basically only the active and the paused pre-selected. I don't know. I think it sounds fairly simple, but it's not that simple, right? So I'm gonna try to basically tell the model with a simple prompt, and the problem is in many places. How good you at writing the prompt? With newer models, you can be stupider. You can be more stupid, and it still works because the model figures out what you want to say. The hardness, right? So open code might not be great at handling smaller context windows. I don't know. Like the hardness itself is also an important aspect of these, right? But let's see. We're using this model. That's the local model here, and what I'm gonna say is, I'm gonna say I want to change the filters in the sessions list in the user's dashboard. Instead of the current dropdown, I want a checkbox based filter which has the active and paused states pre-selected. Now, one thing that I found is that it almost feels like it's with these models is better if you directly go into build mode. I don't know, some people hate plan mode. I kind of usually like plan mode because it kind of, I think the model basically uses that to better find what it needs to search for and what it needs to do to build an actual plan. But I think for the smaller models and for things like that, you just go straight and do a build, like do this in build mode. Let's see what happens. I want to change the filter in the session filter and the sessions list in the user's dashboard. Instead of the current dropdown, I want a checkbox based filter which has the active and pause states pre-selected. Yeah, let's see, and you'll see that it actually like speeds tokens quite fast, and it's using tools and whatnot. So I found a filter, and you can see that it's actually really using these, right? So it's using the local server, so I'm not like BS or anything here. So it's using these. Okay, so it seems like it found it. That's a little. That's a little spooky, and I think it's because of the small context window that it might appear that it's truncated, because it's not truncated. Find the relevant code. It found the component session list. So it found the component here. It would be cool if you could see the AI changing stuff. Yeah, I should be able to see this. Let's see what it's doing. Okay, so here it actually struggled a bit. But it's okay. It's quite conservative, right? Because it's saying it's a part of an LLM coaching application which plan node sessions or a separate openLesson dashboard at web app. What does the current filter look like? The small drop down. So it struggles a bit. It's interesting. It actually struggles to find these. It worked better with that button, but let me try to give it a bit of help. It's whatever renders under the dashboard. Under the dashboard route. I mean, I could give it a file. I know it's. I mean, the thing is, I'm not even sure if it's session list, to be honest. Session plans usage configuration. Yeah, I'm gonna give it this clue. So it says all sessions. There's a search sessions box. The filter is next to a input field. So it struggles to find things in again, this code base is maybe not that small, really, if you think about it. So I mean, let's see. So let's see if it's gonna find it. Just looking at the. It's asking me the same things. It's the folder we're in. That's not in partner. So the thing is, it's an interesting question. It's in the folder we're in the current repository. For openLesson. Check what view the dashboard route renders. See if it finds it. I don't know how I prompted it before. It actually found it quite easily. Okay, found it. Yes, it found it actually. Cool. Stays like all active and paused. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's what we want. Okay, so finding it is still, but this might be because of the small context window, right? So it's not really it's kind of my fault because I have to make that trade-off with the 5070 In this case, I just have to, if I want to put the whole model on the GPU so that it's fast enough. Okay, so it found the drop down. Let's see. It failed to edit. So it actually happened last time the same. What happened is funny. Why isn't it found? It's here actually. Okay, so cannot find it now inside the file. It said before line 664 and 677. So it kind of gets stuck quite a lot, even finding things like these. Interesting. 664. That's for the plans. Ah, okay, no, okay. So it's clarifying now things for the implementation. So it's telling me what exact UI behavior do you want. Should the checkbox row sit above the session stable? Okay, but you see, it's decent. It's actually very decent. I mean, it takes more time, right? You have to. Okay. So far, it's been hard to actually find the place to change. Should the checkbox row sit above the session table? The session's table like a filter bar. So for these is I basically above is fine. And yes, single multi-select. For two, which platform tag you're using. For two, figured it out. It's Next.js, by the way. I mean, it should know these. Should we retain the existing stylus dropdown? No. And 4. Use whatever the current drop down uses. So it's you get the thing is using these models you kind of get to appreciate how powerful the beasts like 4.6 or 4.7 are really. Because they somehow figure these things by themselves, man. It's like it's pretty insane actually. So and now it stopped. It happened to me as well this before, right? So it actually, if I open here, it just says finish streaming response. It just simply says fine. It's Next.js. Okay. Go ahead, please. So it's telling me what it's gonna do. Oh no! Please replace this yourself. That didn't happen to me when I did the test with the other feature, by the way. Like it actually went and did the change itself. So this is obviously a bit annoying, but it's, as I said, it's still not. The styles or resets to all if you prefer. Actually, have Okay, so it actually speeds the whole thing out again. Go and build these. Um, you know what worked before as well? Actually, I'm thinking about these. Stop. Don't show me the code. Just go and build it. Okay, I now it's actually failing big time. So I'm confused, but I can tell you that it definitely worked when I did the test with a button. I mean, you saw the button, right? But now it's kind of like, oh, did it actually add it? No. Okay. It's just telling me to do these, right? We'll give it another chance, and then otherwise we'll move on to, um, we'll move on a bit to towards the vision stuff. Okay, it's actually really trying to add these. I'm curious how well will this work. Again, we're in here and we're trying to replace these. Maybe it was easier to find this, you know what I mean? Maybe it was easier to find this button somehow. I don't know, it found this very easily before and it just built it. Syntax error. Okay, it's actually, it actually broke the code now. Okay. Anyway, as you can see, it's not perfect. It's not there yet that it that I think it can do. I should do more tests before I should do more tests before I can actually like jump out of, you know, happiness that finally we have a local model that can actually do this. And so it's gonna use a simpler, but it might get to it, right? But you know, as you can see, it just we've already spent quite some time just trying, um, and yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know, man. It's still still very fascinating to me. It's still very fascinating how you actually can do this, because I really don't know. Um, how do you approach these? How do you do these? Like yeah, I don't know, it's definitely something that I want to explore and see if like what goes into building models like these, because this looks fun, man. This looks like a lot of, you know, stitching things together. And how do you even, like, what does even healing mean? I feel so dumb because I don't know any of these. The healed merge, like how like what how you run, like what does this mean that you run like a final fine tune to basically like smooth um gradients flow across the layer boundary, you know, like this stuff just like it feels cool, man. Anyway, it's definitely an awesome model, as you can see in a real world example, of like, you know, building bits and pieces, modifying things here and there on a bigger code base. It's definitely not there yet. I'm sure it builds. Let's try to build some. Let's try to do these. Let's try to actually build something cool. So let's go to projects. let's create something called test globals, and let's open a project. And I'm gonna tell it to just build me a landing page for a tutoring agent business. So that's this thing. I probably should stop. I'm gonna stop now. Oh crap! Yeah, that's my fault. That's my fault. I just heard the GPU like. It's fine. That's all fine. I think it hadn't actually changed anything yet. I don't see any changes here. I can just quickly ask Opus, but I don't think it actually changed anything, did it? Because that's another thing. This app doesn't, like the open code app doesn't always seem to catch all the stuff that is changing really. Can you tell me if whatever is not committed? And so, and then here, let's try again. Let's try again. I just want to see what it does in a blank slate. I just want to see what it does in a blank slate, and I think I'm gonna just wrap it up here, guys. I'm gonna do a bigger post. It's just because it's late. I'm gonna do a bigger post on the vision later tonight. I'm just no, maybe we stay a bit for like 5 minutes. I think it's important. I need to think about these. Let's see what it does. Okay, so let's talk about the vision of openLesson and stuff like this in the meantime for the next like 5-10 minutes. And let's let this guy work. Yeah, so actually it did actually change something. It actually had changed something, yeah. But it was broken, so that's all good. Okay, change of topic. Change of topic. It's almost been now, and I posted this today. It's almost been now. Let's close a few things. Let's close these. It's been now what? It's been. It's been almost 2 months since we launched these, and it just feels like it's crazy because I've been streaming every single day and we've shipped so many things. But of course, there's a long road ahead still, right? I just realized with this fucker right away that the deadline is tomorrow, so I have to actually probably pull an all-nighter. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But yes, I mean, I want to talk a bit about these. I want to talk a bit about the classroom, and I wanted to kind of like. Oh, baby's awake. Give me a second, guys. Okay, you'll have to forgive me, but I have to wrap it up because it's just baby's too unstable. He fell asleep again, but I think he's gonna wake up in the next few minutes. So I'll have to be basically resigned to just leave you guys with a brief comment on the classroom and student models. I just want to talk a bit about this because I know that a few people understand what I really have in mind there. You probably know Comma AI. Do you know Comma AI? Comma AI. So they have this paper, and okay, so let's do a quick read. That's not too it's not too long actually. So it's just because it has a parallel to learning, right? To the education stuff. So we propose an end-to-end architecture for training driving policies in an on-policy manner using real-world driving data and simulation. So there are they introduce the concept of two simulator types. One is based on reprojective simulation, another one is based on a learned world model. Wait, maybe that's not the one I want to read. Yes, here. Okay, exactly. So end-to-end autonomous driving policies. By now, most autonomous driving labs agree that building a fully autonomous driving policy based on hard-coded rules and features is doomed to fail. The only realistic way is to build autonomous driving that scales arbitrarily complex environments, basically, so end-to-end. So the need for simulation, off-policy versus on-policy learning. A key challenge in end-to-end learning is how to train a policy that can perform well under the non-IID assumptions made by most supervised learning algorithms with behavior cloning. In the real world, the policy's predictions influence its future observations. In the real world, the policy's predictions influence its future observations. Small errors accumulate over time, leading to a compounding effect that drives the system into states it never encountered during pure imitation learning training. And this is interesting, right? Because essentially what it's saying is that what's happening is when you're learning to drive using pure like imitation learning, it's all right, but you're not seeing the weird stuff, right? And so essentially the compounding effect of errors takes you into spots where you don't even know what to do. Yeah, it does not recover from its mistakes. I mean, this is a very interesting observation, right? So there's always a slow drift away from the desired trajectory. And to overcome this, the driving policy needs to be trained on policy, allowing it to learn from its own interactions with the environment and enabling it to recover from its own mistakes. Running on policy learning in the real world is costly and impractical. So this means essentially that it needs to, yeah, it kind of needs to be to be trained on its own experience, right? Yeah, but that's not what I wanted to. World models. Yeah, well, essentially that's kind of why, right? And it's the same. The same challenge is happening. It happens with education, right? So why is end-to-end a hard, simple approach? So all of data, humans driving, and then train a model takes in video and predicts the trajectory the human drove for every situation. Yeah. It takes a real world video and computes how a pilot would behave with a certain model. The model predicts where we should drive. The control stacks computes the ideal steering angle to achieve the simple physics. Exactly. Now needs to be modified to reflect the movement of the car. This is the difficult part. Someone could write a simulation environment like Carla. Now a simulator can test a simple approach would perform. As the video mostly correct prediction of the human drove. However, it doesn't stay on track well and needs to do some slight real world noise. Um, the simple models describe or predict where human is most likely to drive in a self-driving video. Imagine a long straight highway lane where human is perfectly centered in the lane. The human is mostly likely to keep driving completely straight. So that's what the model predicts. However, imagine the human was, for any reason, 10 centimeters away from the center. What is the human's most likely trajectory now? Is it completely straight? If you accept that claim, you can quickly see how a model can just predict the human's most likely does not predict how to recover mistakes. If a car deviates from the ideal trajectory for any reason, the model does not predict the trajectory that recovers back. And so when there is any noise that causes the car to deviate from the planned trajectory, there's no pressure to recover, and the car keeps drifting away from the ideal trajectory. It can predict how to recover from deviations from a good trajectory, similarly described earlier. Okay, so there's noise, so a car moves away from the ideal trajectory, and we can then train a model to predict where the human trajectory is from this new perspective. For our purposes, we always consider human trajectory to be ideal. The KL solution. So essentially, what Comma figured out, and I guess Tesla as well earlier, is that it's not enough to train by imitation, right? It's not like predict the next, it's not like predict the next best um predict the next best action or frame, right? It's because essentially, let's think about this. Essentially, if you just do these, if you just learn by imitation, if you just learn what is the difference? If you just learn by imitation versus what they're trying to actually do here is something slightly different, right? So they're just yeah. Yeah, there's no pressure. That's what it says. There's no pressure to read similar text in real world. Read and compute how it will behave in a certain model. But it's not really why they use a simulator. Wait a second. Learn to drive from a world model. I forgot about. I forgot where I found these. Tell me why comma AI, because I want to find the exact reference. Because I want to share with you guys. Tell me what the comma AI is using a simulator to learn. Just using existing footage and data. I think it's from the unsimulated mistakes. That's the trick, right? So it's the fact that it needs to basically have a way. The model needs to have a way to correct its own mistakes. And if you're training on just the data that you're seeing, then then essentially you do not have that capacity to self-correct because there's no incentive, because the model just taught you that given where you're now, that's what you should do next, right? um so exactly, so that's what the model learns, is when the scene looks like this, then steer like the human did, right? But once deployed, any small mistake, a bit of drift, imperfect steering, puts the car into a slightly off distribution state, and so these errors compound. And what they do is they create this, they essentially create a simulation that lets them do on policy training. So essentially, the dry model acts in the simulated world. Yeah, they can start from a perturbed state. The model sees the consequence of its own actions and learns to recover back to the good human-like trajectory. So they build data-driven simulations built from the real fleet footage. Yeah, exactly. And it's just because of the scale of this, so they need to train you. And I guess Tesla, does Tesla do this? I guess Tesla has too huge of a fleet already. It was never trained on its own mistakes. It just, it's a bit mind blowing to think about these, right? But just think about the fact that what's like, that's what's happening, right? So what's happening is that you have essentially the mistakes actually compound. This is very interesting, and it's because it's an interactive model. This is essentially something that is different from like text generation or a video generation, right? Because the decisions you're making completely affect the environment as well, right? Or there's certain things where you know, yeah, exactly. If there's something that doesn't look right, then you're pushed away from the ideal path. Tesla did these, yeah, neural world simulator. For superhuman recovery and long horizon planning. I wonder. So essentially, that lets them train on basically its own mistakes, and I wonder. So this is something that, from an educational perspective, from a situation where you're having a tutor teaching you, it's essentially the same concept, right? We that's why I want to, build this classroom. I this is going to be a very, very difficult concept, right, to build, but that's the idea. You're essentially, it's extremely hard to simulate how a human learns, right? and and what is a teacher or a tutor, how is that influencing um how you're learning? And not even these, it's like, is you're influencing yourself. Like if I talk about like openLesson, right, and the way that the whole premise of the think aloud protocol is that you are trying to learn, you're having the questions, right? So you're in a lesson, you have the question, and that elicits something in you, right? That takes you into one direction, right? You could have gone in many places, but essentially that takes you in this direction. So it you start answering one of the tutor questions, takes you into a space where you're thinking and building knowledge there. And what we want to be able to do is, okay, I want to learn these. How do I get there, right? And that's essentially coming up with the so having a model that actually acts as an end-to-end tutor is essentially what we need to build here. So we need to build that tutor that is basically observing you, interacting with you, and then responding to your state changes, and then essentially guiding you and helping you recover from mistakes. This is, I'm sorry that I'm so like, because it's late at night as well, but I'm sorry that this is difficult to articulate because it's also very early stage in my head, right? But it's the same concept applied from a driving model. It's essentially something different than just the next token, right? In this case, you have a frame, and then essentially the model predicts what the action should be in the real world. That's what the world model is, right? You have a model, you're interacting with it, it changes, and then essentially that's the world model is a bit it's different than like text prediction. So when we're thinking about a tutor, the problem here is using LLMs as tutors has this problem where there's no real awareness of what's going on, right? Like this chat turn-based thing is not enough. If you want to really optimize learning, you need to have that model that really truly understands what the interaction is at the moment, and what it needs to do now to steer you in the right direction. So this is basically what the classroom is. Sorry, I ended up taking too much time. I need to wrap it up now because it's too late and I need to kind of still finish a few things. But yeah, that's just so that I'm going to try to articulate these on an article. I it's going to take a while to build, but I'm going to get there, guys. So see you tomorrow.